What if I told you that the greatest breakthroughs of your life will never come from overthinking, planning, or even trying? What if you are not the source of your best ideas, but merely the space through which they flow? You see, we've been taught to wrestle with life, to strain our minds like overworked engines, hoping they'll produce answers. We've been told that unless we're constantly figuring things out, we're falling behind. But this is the great lie. Look at nature. Trees don't struggle to grow. The moon doesn't try to orbit. Birds don't attend flying school. And yet, we humans, children of the same universe, behave as though we must force every thought, every outcome into existence. Here's the secret no one tells you. The most brilliant parts of your mind are not under your control. In fact, the moment you let go, the moment you stop trying to think better, you make space for the universe to move through you. And when it does, what flows is effortless, it's aligned, it's right. Think of the times when the right idea came in the shower, when clarity struck during a walk, when the answer arrived just as you stopped looking. That wasn't you thinking, that was the universe thinking through you. But to receive, you must trust. You must stop worshipping effort as the only path to wisdom. You must learn the art of surrender not as weakness, but as supreme intelligence. Because only when you become still, when you stop being a noisy thinker, can you begin to hear the deeper music, and that music, that rhythm is thinking for you. So I invite you to stay with me, not just for the rest of this talk, but for a moment of your life that might just change everything. Together, let's explore how to release the burden of thinking and live in the freedom of knowing. Let the universe think for you. We believe we are the doers of everything, that our thoughts, our actions, our plans are the engines of reality. From a very young age, we are taught to take control, to decide, to plan, to think everything through to its end. We imagine that every success is the result of strategic thought and calculated effort. It gives us comfort to think we're the masters of our own universe, sitting at the control panel of life. But this belief, comforting as it may be, is not only flawed, it is the very thing that creates so much of our anxiety, our frustration, and our confusion. The illusion of control is perhaps the most persistent spell we live under. We think we are thinking our thoughts. We think we are choosing our desires, but look a little closer. Can you really predict your next thought? Can you truly say where an idea comes from, or why a particular memory rises in the mind when it does? If you watch the process of your mind without interfering, you'll see it moves on its own like clouds drifting across the sky, like waves rippling through the ocean. Your thoughts appear, not by your command, but from a much deeper well, a place far beyond the reach of conscious effort. And yet we keep trying to wrestle life into submission. We sit in front of blank pages waiting for inspiration. We stay up late pushing our brains to produce answers, and we clutch our calendars like lifelines. We live under the impression that if we don't constantly steer the ship, we'll be lost at sea. But life does not work like that, not really. Think of the greatest moments you've ever had, the laughter you didn't plan, the friendships you didn't schedule, the insights that came not when you were thinking hard, but when you finally gave up trying. These moments of brilliance, of connection, of clarity, they didn't arrive because you forced them. They came because you let go. The illusion of control keeps us trapped in a loop of striving. It convinces us that surrender is laziness, that not knowing is failure, and that the only way forward is through constant effort. But what if control is not power? What if real power lies in understanding that you are already a part of something far greater than yourself, and that this something is intelligent, fluid, alive? The same intelligence that spins galaxies and grows forests is flowing through you. It breathes through you, beats your heart, and yes, even thinks through you. You are not separate from this intelligence, you are it. So the task is not to tighten your grip on life, but to loosen it, to relax into the flow that is already carrying you. Your mind is often imagined as a machine, a tool you wield, a factory where you manufacture ideas, solutions, and plans. We tend to think that thinking means pushing, pulling, grinding away until something concrete emerges. But this is a misunderstanding of how the mind truly works. Rather than a factory, your mind is more like a mirror, a reflective surface that does not create light, but reveals what is already there. It does not invent reality, it shows it back to you in countless shapes and colors. When you look closely, you realize that the most profound thoughts and the clearest insights come not from forcing the mind into action, but from allowing it to reflect the deeper patterns and rhythms that already exist in the universe. This mirror doesn't need to struggle or strain. It only needs to be clear, open, and still enough to catch the light. Trying to force ideas out of the mind is like trying to catch the wind in your hands. The harder you grasp, the more it slips away. This reflective nature of the mind means that the answers we seek are not ours, in the sense of being created by individual effort. They emerge when the mind is quiet and receptive, like a calm pond that perfectly mirrors the sky. The moment you stop trying so hard, the universe begins to reveal its order through you. This is why some of the best ideas come when you are not even thinking about the problem while walking, showering, or resting. Your mind is catching the subtle patterns of the world around you and reflecting them back. When we understand this, we stop battling our thoughts as if they are adversaries to be conquered or tools to be manipulated. Instead, we treat the mind as a partner in a dance, one that responds best when we stop forcing steps and simply move with the music already playing. This way of thinking teaches us to trust the natural intelligence that flows through us, rather than relying solely on deliberate effort. In this light, thinking is not about control or domination, it's about openness and clarity. The mirror of the mind is powerful not because it creates, but because it reveals. And what it reveals is the underlying intelligence of the universe, reflected back to us in moments of insight, inspiration, and understanding. When you let the mind be a clear mirror, the universe's wisdom can shine through effortlessly. All around us, from the smallest atom to the largest star, life unfolds with a kind of intelligence so effortless it seems like magic. This intelligence does not strain or stress, does not plan or calculate in the way we do. It simply flows. The rivers don't decide where to run by weighing options. They follow the path of least resistance. Trees don't plot their growth. They respond naturally to light and gravity. The seasons change not because of human intervention, but because of a timeless rhythm that governs everything. This effortless intelligence is the true engine of life. It operates without the need for conscious control, without the pressure of forcing outcomes. Yet, we humans often forget this, caught up in the relentless hustle to control and master every aspect of our existence. We believe that progress demands hard work, that success is earned through constant effort and mental struggle. But nature teaches us otherwise. The highest form of intelligence is not the kind that grinds and pushes, but the kind that flows and responds. When you open yourself to this truth, you begin to see that the greatest achievements, the deepest insights, the moments of pure creativity, come not from forcing your mind to work harder, but from aligning yourself with this effortless intelligence. It is a current that carries you forward, a wisdom that knows the way without needing a map. The paradox is that by relaxing, by releasing the tight grip of control, you become more powerful, more able to act in harmony with the whole. Imagine the difference between swimming against a fierce current and floating gently with the tide. The current represents the natural intelligence of the universe, a vast, intelligent flow. Fighting it is exhausting and futile. Surrendering to it brings freedom, ease, and surprising strength. This is what it means to live with effortless intelligence, to stop struggling against life and start moving with it, trusting that the universe's intelligence will guide you better than any plan you could make. When you embody this understanding, your actions become fluid and inspired rather than forced and mechanical. You stop trying to solve every problem with sheer will and instead listen deeply to the subtle signals life gives you. This shift allows new possibilities to emerge, solutions to arise naturally, and creativity to flourish, all without the exhausting effort we usually associate with thinking and doing. To surrender the mind's relentless effort is to embrace a profound art, the art of letting go. We often confuse surrender with weakness or passivity, But true surrender is one of the greatest acts of strength and wisdom. It is the moment when you stop gripping life so tightly, stop pushing so hard against the currents of your thoughts, and instead open yourself fully to what is. This is not giving up. It is a conscious choice to stop resisting the flow of life and to trust in something far greater than your individual will. The mind, when caught in its own loop of worry and planning, becomes a noisy battlefield. It churns and debates, doubts and fears, striving to control every outcome. But this constant effort exhausts you and clouds your clarity. The art of surrender asks you to step back from this chaos, to pause the struggle, and rest in the stillness beneath your thoughts. It is in this stillness that the noise quiets, the mind becomes transparent, and you begin to perceive the deeper currents that guide your existence. Surrender is not about losing yourself. It is about finding yourself beyond the limitations of control. It is the awareness that you are not the commander of the universe, but a part of its vast intelligence. When you surrender, you align yourself with the natural rhythms of life rather than fighting against them. You open the door for the universe to express itself through you, to think and move through you with effortless grace. This does not mean passivity or inaction. Rather, it is a shift in how you act from forceful doing to responsive being. You respond to life's unfolding with openness and trust, rather than resistance and fear. You begin to recognize that some answers cannot be forced by the mind, but must be allowed to emerge in their own time. By surrendering, you create space for intuition, insight, and creativity to arise naturally. This is the way to move beyond the limits of the thinking mind and to live in harmony with the intelligence that flows through all things. Life is often misunderstood as a series of tasks to be completed, a checklist of problems to solve, or a battlefield to win by sheer willpower and careful planning. But this view misses the deeper truth of how existence unfolds. Life is less about strategy and more about timing, less about forcing outcomes and more about feeling the rhythm of the moment. It is a dance rather than a march, a flowing conversation rather than a rigid script. When we impose our plans too tightly, we lose sight of the natural synchronicity that weaves everything together. Synchronicity is the hidden order behind apparent chaos, the moments when things fall into place with uncanny precision, when people appear just when you need them, or when an idea arises exactly at the right time. These moments are not accidents. They are the universe's way of thinking and responding through you, a sign that you are aligned with the flow of life. Yet, to experience synchronicity, you must first let go of the illusion that everything must be controlled. You must learn to trust the timing of the universe, to listen to the subtle cues rather than force your agenda. This does not mean passivity, but an active participation in the dance, being alert, responsive, and present, rather than rigid and domineering. When you live this way, you discover that the universe often brings solutions and opportunities that no amount of planning could have predicted. The more you resist and try to manipulate outcomes, the more tangled and complicated life becomes. But when you allow things to unfold naturally, you become part of the great rhythm that moves all things forward effortlessly. Synchronicity teaches us that there is a deeper intelligence at work, one that cannot be captured by logic or strategy alone. It invites us to cultivate patience, openness, and trust. By embracing this dance of timing and flow, you align yourself with the universe's own way of thinking, a way that is far more creative, wise, and free than the limited calculations of the ego mind. The most profound truths do not arise from constant mental noise or restless thinking, but from a deep well of stillness within us. In a world that celebrates busyness and endless activity, the idea of living from stillness can feel foreign, even counterintuitive. Yet, stillness is not emptiness or stagnation. It is the fertile ground from which clarity, wisdom, and creative insight naturally emerge. When the mind is quiet, it stops spinning stories and anxieties, allowing space for what truly matters to surface. This silence is like the calm before a storm, or the deep pause in music that gives meaning to the notes. In that stillness, you begin to sense the subtle rhythms of your own being and the universe itself. You become attuned to a source of knowing that transcends ordinary thought of wisdom that is immediate, direct, and whole. Living from stillness means trusting that the answers you seek are not somewhere out there, to be chased down by frantic searching, but are already present within the silence of your own being. It is an invitation to slow down, to be present, and to allow life's mysteries to unfold naturally. In this state, decisions and insights arise effortlessly, not because you have forced them, but because you have created the inner conditions for them to appear. This way of living challenges the common notion that constant doing is the path to fulfillment. Instead, it reveals that the most powerful thinking happens when you stop trying so hard and simply listen. When you cultivate stillness, you open a doorway to the universe's intelligence, a thinking that is vast, fluid, and infinitely creative. It is here, in this space beyond thought, that you truly begin to live in harmony with the world and yourself. In stepping back from the relentless effort to control every thought and outcome, you open yourself to a deeper, wiser intelligence, one that is not confined to your individual mind, but flows through you from the vast universe itself. This shift from striving to surrender, from forcing to allowing, transforms your relationship with life. It invites you to become a clear mirror, reflecting the natural rhythms and intelligence that surround you. When you let the universe think for you, you step into a dance of effortless creativity, trust, and harmony. It is here, beyond the noisy mind, that true insight arises, and the path forward reveals itself not by your command, but through the graceful unfolding of life itself.